All right, rocking and rolling. So I'll say hi first. Alexis is going to share her amazingness is in terms of our topic first, but I figured I'd just say hi and hello and introduce myself, and then we can go so on and so forth with the other speakers. But Alexis and I really feel like we just met like through obviously Beachbody, but just like social media, creeping on each other, hanging out at events. And I've always been so attracted to Alexis's, that's a mouthful, Alexis's vibe and positive energy. And my team heard this last week, but for you newbies that haven't heard from me, I've been a coach 6 years, and this past summit was transformational for me. And maybe it was your first summit, maybe you haven't been to one yet, but I feel like a brand new coach all over again, just because I feel so renewed and excited. Last year I had my son, or in 2018 I had my son, and it was just like a crazy year for me, a crazy year and a half. And I was sharing with my team last week what like my failures have been and how difficult this journey over 6 years has been through the wild things that we go through in life. Every single face on this call, we go through stuff, right? And last year when I reached out to Alexis, she just brought so much life and light and positivity, and it was a breath of fresh air into my business. So I felt like it would be so awesome to have both of us on here to share with you guys any and everything that we can help you guys with. And the two topics that we kind of nailed down that were our, cream of the crop favorite things to talk about were inviting. Originally I was like, social media, but I feel like that's like a 10-hour call. So I was like, let's do like inviting, fear of inviting, and let's talk about building leaders, because that's what we love to talk about. So thank you again for all the teams coming. I know Kristina is going to be hopping on shortly, but that's kind of like my introduction for you guys of like where I'm at and why I think doing this together would be awesome. Alexis, shout out to you and your team. 6-star qualification today. It's a big freaking deal. So on my team, we love chat box. We love like questions. We love all that stuff. I'm sure you guys are down with the same vibes too. So I'm going to shut up now because we have lots of content. So Alexis is going to go first. All you, girl.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, shout out to my team on here, my diamonds, my whole team, obviously, but 6-star qualification, 5 weeks of sweating. Super excited about it. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going to get like right into my topic because I have so much to talk about. And I know myself and Colleen are very similar. We could talk all day long. We were joking, like, let's make it not be a 5-hour call, which we're not, but I talk really fast. So my team already knows that. So hopefully you can keep up with me, but I am the same. I love chat box. I love questions in there. I am squirrel. So or I get squirreled, I'm not a squirrel. I get squirreled. But if you type in the chat box, I promise I will totally skim through everything and answer any and all questions you have at the end. But I kind of have to just like go into my notes because if not, I'll be a hot mess. Also, are there any children on the call? I tend to like curse and I try not to, but I don't know if that'll like bother anybody. If I say things, I apologize. I'm not gonna like just drop like 100 F-bombs. Okay, so obviously I'm gonna be talking about, like Colleen said, like inviting and things like that, but I kind of broke my whole thing down into a few different sections, I guess. And the biggest thing obviously is all about like the fear around it, because you guys have heard 1,000 calls and I'm sure Colleen has told you 95% of the things that I'm going to share. But it's sometimes just those things that you have to hear over and over again to help you have that light bulb go off. But I really wanted to talk about, first I want to kind of share about just the fear itself and talk about like what fear is. Then I'm going to talk about being new and kind of uncomfortable with inviting. So even if you're somebody who's like, I have no problem with inviting, I don't know what you're talking about, Alexis. Just, I always say, if there's something that like you already know, think about how can I apply this to my team and how can I help them do that? And then I'm going to talk about how this is a do and then learn business. And then just briefly finish up with talking about kind of my process of how I find people, because I feel like that's a question I get a lot. And then my inviting process, which I've talked about before, I think, on Colleen's call. So I'm just going to kind of chat about how I'm doing it in a new updated 2019 social media way. Okay. So number one, I'm sure you've heard this before, but fear itself is simply a perception. It's not an actual thing. It's only something that we think. So you can be fearful of something, but you're not, like, the fear thing itself is not an actual thing. It's just like a perception. It's a thought. So a lot of people have the fear of inviting. You have the fear of hearing no, fear of building your team, but it's a lot of times they say it's because they don't have confidence, but I don't really think it's necessarily a lack of confidence. I think it's just the perception that you're not good enough, right? Which makes sense, right? Like lack of confidence is a perception of not being good enough. But I think the thing that most people miss is that about the whole not being confident thing is that it itself is just a perception. And the biggest thing with all of this is the biggest thing with fear in this business is the failing part itself. So you're afraid that if you send the invite to, your challenge group or somebody joining your team that, if you don't get a response, you're a failure, or you fail at even sending the invite in the first place because you're afraid of what might happen. You fail building a team, which Colleen's going to kind of talk about all that stuff, but you fail at building a team because you don't know how to lead them. But if you pay attention to all of those things I just talked about, it's just a perception of what could happen. Now, it doesn't mean that all of those things can actually happen. Of course, you can hear no. Of course, people can ignore you. That's going to happen. But it's still a perception of what could happen that's stopping you from sending the invite in the first place. So before I move on to the rest of the stuff I'm going to talk about, I want to say, I feel like this is something that's not talked about a lot, is that fear of failure is always talked about. I'm afraid of failing. But I personally think, and I think this goes into what Colleen is going to talk about later, is that it's more of a fear of success, not for everybody, but a fear of success because it's thinking, oh my gosh, what if I do send the invite and these people do say yes? And I have to have all of this responsibility. I have this team. Like, you think you're going to send 10 invites and then like 100 people are going to join your team that day, and you're going to have to figure out how to get to 15 star diamond in one day, which is never the case. You build up to that. And I'm going to kind of share about that. And I'm sure Colleen will talk about that as well. But I just kind of wanted to share that. So make sure you kind of define with yourself whether you're taking action or not taking action, if it's based off of fear of failure or fear of success. But I want to share with you about failure. And the reason why I'm talking about all of this, because I really do think, while I'm going to share about the inviting and all of that, I think that all of this is so deeply tied to why people aren't taking action with inviting, or they're like, I'm too uncomfortable to invite, or I'm too new to invite. So there's a reason all of this. So I want to talk to you about failure in the way that I talk to my challengers about failure. So when I start a new challenge group and I have a prep week, one of the first questions I ask them is, what is your biggest fear over the next 30 days or over your next however many days their program is? And 95% of the time, their response is, I'm afraid of failing. And my response every single time to them is, failure is only a thing if you let it be a thing. Failure cannot exist if you change your perception of it. So I tell my challengers, like, let's say you go in the first week and you crush it and you do so well for those first 7 days. And then on the 8th day, you have a bad day and you eat an entire box of pizza and you drink a bottle of wine and you miss a workout. Some people think, oh my gosh, like that means I failed, right? No, like if that happens to me, I'm just like, okay, cool. That wasn't supposed to happen. Big deal, moving on. And you take the power away from failure. Obviously that's easier said than done, but I just take away the power from failure. I just go about my next meal. I go about my day as if nothing happened. So if you take away the power of failure, it doesn't even have to be a thing. It's like a past Tinder hookup that was so terrible you pretend it didn't happen. One of my favorite quotes is Thomas Edison. He said, when he was inventing the light bulb, he said, I haven't failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that don't work. So if you go to inviting, if you go into building your team, becoming a leader, doing anything in this business or anything else in life for that matter, if you go into it with a Thomas Edison mindset, you will be more successful. So I'm going to send these invites and if people don't respond or they say no, or my phone explodes, whatever, cool. Big deal, moving on. It's not even a thing. Obviously, again, that's easier said than done. But if you just change your perception of it, and another note to add is when you're sending invites, if you change the perception from, I need to hear yes, this person needs to hear yes, and you just say, I'm just simply here to plant seeds. I'm sure you've heard that before, but it's something that has helped me from the beginning of time. When I send my invites, I send about 10 to 20 invites every single day. I'm going to show you how I do all that. I'm going to show you my video invites. I'm going to share it on the screen. You're going to hear it. You're going to see it. But when I send those, I'm like not like sitting there like, oh, I hope this person says yes. I hope this person says yes. I'm just doing it and planting seeds because I know that they could possibly see it. And even if they don't respond, even if they completely ignore me, they've been liking and viewing my stuff because I don't send my kind of advice that I'm going to share with you just like to random people. It's people that are liking and sharing my stuff, but I've planted the seed. Okay, so Before I go on to the actual process, I want to share some tips about kind of how to get to the point to where you don't care. Because I know I can say that and you're like, great, Alexis, wonderful. Just don't care. That's really great advice. I know that it's easier said than done. But number one is personal development 10 times. Or times 1,000. If you listen to the National Wake Up Call this Monday, Rob talked about do personal development with purpose. It's really true. I don't care if you're 10xing your invites or you were like, I'm going to out invite everybody. If you're not 10xing your personal development, none of that stuff is going to matter because it's all about up here. Second thing is use daily affirmations around your invitations. So, because we make affirmations that are kind of in a general sense, but sometimes I think we forget to make specific affirmations. And my team knows I'm like super big on affirmations. So you can be like, I'm the baddest mother ever in the world. And every time I invite someone, they're super excited about joining my team. Or I ain't afraid of no invite, or however you want to word it, like how Sean T would say. One of my affirmations is something like, I attract, every day I attract my tribe, my people, and everyone who wants to grow their business with me. So saying things that are specifically attached to like your fear around inviting, around building a team, or whatever it is that you have fear of, be really specific. And if you woke up every morning and you said that 5 times to yourself every day and before you went to bed, after a while, you're changing what goes on up here. So that's something to keep in mind. And you've heard this before. I've heard plenty of people talk about it on National Wake Up Calls, but set your environment up when you're inviting as a place to get excited. Like when I always send my invites in the morning to get them done and out of the way. I do my like meditation, and the first thing I do once I like start working, I put on music that I like. I put on like my favorite playlist because I'm amazing at making playlists. Check me on Spotify. It's like, just kidding. But like I put that on and I get really excited and I'm super jazzed about it. And then I just send my invites, and it's the environment. If I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta send these invites, and then like in a dark room and like haven't had my coffee yet or something, I'm gonna be much more miserable about it. So just kind of make sure that you're changing your environment in which you do all of these things. Okay, so the next thing I kind of want to talk about is the whole idea of I'm new or I'm too uncomfortable. Like, oh, I just started. How am I supposed to invite someone if I'm still so new to all of this thing? And my team has seen me do this 1,000 times, but you need to stop thinking about like inviting to things, whether it's coaching or challenge group, as this like robotic business seed transaction thing. I heard somebody say it, I don't know where, but it really stuck with me, is that we're simply working on being the best version of ourselves and sharing that with other people. That is literally all we do. So it doesn't matter if you're a day old or you're 10,000 days old, you can still share what's rocking your world about your health and fitness journey with other people. So if you focus on just being really jazzed and really hyped about what you're doing and sharing that with people, and when I share my invites, like you're going to see kind of how my energy is around it, and you will come across that way. So if you're thinking about everything as this business transaction, that's when it tends to get weird, or you feel like you have to know more than you do. But all you're doing is just sharing with people like what you're excited about. You don't have to act like you have like 45 years of nutrition science underneath your belt. Like when I first started and when I was brand new, and like if you're new, like tell people that. Like you don't have to be like, I'm dumb, I don't know anything. But like when I first started inviting, I was a coach for like a few weeks, and I was like, okay, I just started this program. I'm crapping my pants and I have no idea like what to expect. I'm really excited about it. I know it's going to work, but this is really new for me, and I would love for you to do it with me. Because like when you're a brand new coach, a lot of it is inviting friends and family and things like that, or people who you've been building relationship with on Instagram. But like tell people that. Tell them I'm new to this, but like let's do this together. People like being a part of something like that. So just focus on being real, raw, and honest. Okay. So this brings me to my next point of the process of it. So I know I keep saying before I share that, but I have lots of things that are getting all to the point. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm not looking at the chat box because then I will get distracted, and I want to make sure that I don't talk forever. Okay, so I want to talk about a few things before I get to the actual process, because I feel like it's important to say, I can share my process with you, but until you get your hands dirty and do it, it won't matter. I can tell you a million things. Colleen can tell you things. You can go to Summit. You can listen to National Wake Up Call, but until you physically get your hands dirty, you're not gonna kind of know what it's like. So let me explain. If you're tired of hearing coaches say, just send the invite, just do it, just send the invite, I want to share with you why we say that. You can't figure out if you're good at it, if you're bad at it, if you need work or what you need to fix until you actually get out there and do it. So I'm going to use the example of making out with another human being. So let's take yourself back to when you were in high school, maybe grade school. I don't know, when you had your first kiss. I'm not judging you. And you haven't had your first kiss yet. how in the world could you figure out how to get good at making out with someone if you don't really know what happens when you make out? Like, you might see some people over here making out, but you're not really sure like what's going on like inside of their mouths. You don't really know. You're just kind of like watching from the outside. So someone can tell you how to get good, but you don't really know how it physically feels. And you don't know about like tongue placement or like pressure or what happens with your teeth. Where does your nose go? Are you leaning to the left? Are you leaning to the right? Like, how much saliva is too much saliva? Like, you don't really know any of those things until you're sitting face to face with Bobby from math class and it happens and you're playing spin the bottle. And then you're like, oh my God, either you're in the boat of, wow, I'm a lot better at this than I thought. Or you're like, was I good? Was I bad? I don't really know. Or you're like, yes, that was terrible. Oh my God, I'm really bad. But now I know what I need to do. You kind of figured it out. So that's kind of like inviting. I know it seems like really weird, but I was trying to think of an example, and I feel like that's a perfect example. So it doesn't matter how many times people tell you what to do, or like I can share all these tips with you that I'm going to share at the very end, but you won't be able to figure that out and figure out like, because there's some things that I share that I know like are completely different than some of the other coaches. I personally do some small talk when I chat with people and I build relationships. I know some other coaches that are like, I hate small talk. I get right to the point. There's not one that is right or wrong. It's whatever works best for you, but you got to figure out where that is. One of my biggest recommendations when it comes to all of this is screenshotting, which I'm sure some of you do. I think it should be done more, is screenshotting your conversations once you're actually getting out there and doing it, and send them to your coaches or your mentor, your coach, because then we'll be able to figure out, okay, what is it that you're struggling with? What is it that you're wording? Because a lot of times it's not that you guys are doing 1,000 things wrong, because you've probably already gotten some ideas of like what invites look like. It's more of just changing around a little things. Like, I've seen people share invites with me where they're like mentioning the price of something like within the first invite of ever talking to someone, and they didn't even get to have a conversation with them. Like, if somebody opens up a message and they see like dollar signs in there, like I wouldn't even probably read it. So there's little things like that where you could be doing all these other things right, but you kind of have to figure out the little things, but you have to just get in there and do it. Greg Cardone talks about I think it's in the 10X rule, when he talks about just like getting your list of people and then doing whatever you need to do and then send the invite, whether you're going to do a video invite or a text invite, whatever you got to do, just do it. Okay. So let's talk about finding people. I'm going to share my screen with you. And this is just like what I, do now. I mean, I've done things a million bajillion ways, but I personally do not use hashtags. I haven't used a hashtag to find someone in forever. Again, that doesn't mean it's wrong if you do, but like a lot of times coaches will be like, I can't find anybody. I'm like, what hashtag are you looking through? They're like, dog mom. And there's 10,000 other Beachbody coaches in there. So I like to go to actual Instagrams and find like people in the comments and the likes. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys really quick. Let me know if this works. Hold on. Okay. So these are a few ways that I like to find people. So I will go just to the Explore page and I'll look for, now there's two ways I do this. I personally like to either look for people who are posting about health and fitness. And then I also like to look for people that are just into the same things that I'm into or going through the same life phase. If you guys were at Summit last year, Bonnie Engel talking about the whole life phase thing absolutely changed everything for me. I was like, genius. Instead of looking for just someone that's into the same things as you, which you still can do, it's more of like, what life phase are you going through? So for me, I just recently got engaged, which opened a whole new world for me. I was like telling my boyfriend or fiance, I was like, can we hurry this process up, because it's just going to open up a whole new plethora of people that I wanted to engage for the right reason. I was like, let's go. But think about did you just get a new job? Are you newly pregnant? Did you just have a kid? Whatever it is that you're currently kind of going through, that you can have think about it in a way that you can have a conversation with someone and you're like, oh my gosh, you totally get me, because you're stressing out about planning a wedding. You know what I mean? And whatever life phase that might be for you. So what I'm going to show you, I do in both categories, either health and fitness or in life phase stuff. So I will go to my Explore page. Obviously it's stuff that I'm liking and engaging with. So let's just do health and fitness. So I'll search here and look for a food picture or something that looks like it will have a lot of likes, comments, or anything like that, which of course there'll be nothing. So, well, that's not healthy. Okay. Well, this is not working. Usually there's something in here. Okay. So let's just go with this. So for example, like obviously you can see this picture, it has 14,000 likes and I don't even know how many comments. So I will literally just go into the comment section and literally click the person, open their page, engage with them. Click, and I would just continue to do that over and over again. But that's where I find people, because for me, those are people who are already engaging on Instagram. They're not necessarily using hashtags, because hashtags are still good, but for me, it takes longer for me to look through a list of people. And like, if you're going through, obviously it took me a bit to find a picture, but if you're finding pictures that are of people posting similar things, it's going to be easier for you to go into the comments of. Like, I go to the English Bulldog thing all the time, and that's the way, instead of the health and fitness side, I'll be engaging with people that are posting about like their dog, or like tattoos, or like wedding stuff. Another thing you can do, and like Bonnie talked about this as well, is like going to the page like The Knot. The Knot's like a big Instagram. It's got 1.4 million followers. And I'll go and I'll click and I'll look, like, see who's commenting. And I'll try to find somebody and see like what they're sharing. Like if they just shared a picture that they got engaged, I'll comment on the picture and I'll like a few pictures. And then usually, because they just got engaged, they come to my page, they'll be able to see that we're kind of in the same thing. And a lot of times they'll follow me. So there's kind of a difference between going to a page for a list of people that I'm going to invite, and then going to a page just to bring people to my feed, because I don't have too much else to share once I get to the little inviting part. But one thing I do every day is I send 10 to 20 invites a day. That is usually typically from my likes and my views on my story. Now I have a decent amount because I have a higher amount of followers. So for those of you who are like, I have the same 50 people looking at my stuff, that means that you're not spending enough time bringing new eyes into your page. So this is what I'm doing to bring new eyes to my page. Because if your problem is like, I literally can't find like the likes and the viewers and stuff like that, you have to go out and bring those people to your page. So that's just one of the things that I do. So that's kind of how I find people. Obviously, like, you could go to Facebook and do the same thing. Pick 5 Facebook groups that are like either the area that you live in or the things that you're into. Life phase, like I'm a part of a bunch of like, you know, engaged or getting married in 2021 or things like that. And all you have to do is engage on those pages, you know, with those people. And in terms of the actual invites, so I'm going to talk about 2 things, and then that's pretty much it. And then I'll let Colleen take over. So the first way I invite is through my likes and my views. So every morning I go to my last posted thing and I just scroll to the bottom and I literally click on every single person. Now, once you start to do this a lot, you'll recognize names, you'll see people, whatever. But I will click on them and I want to share with you a video of what this looks like. So I send a video invite. I record the same video message every single morning because I have my morning routine. And then when I go to start my work, this is the first thing I do. I don't allow myself to do anything until I send my invites, because once it's done, it's done. It's one of the most important things besides follow-ups to do. So this is what it looks like. And I just record it. I guess I couldn't say every day because I sent them invites that I recorded yesterday. But for the most part, I want it to match what I say. But just see the way I am, like, being a real person and not like, hi, I saw you viewed my story. Would you like to join my challenge group? It's really fun. We have lots of accountability and you will lose weight. I'm not like mocking anyone, but this is like the whole point I'm making of like, the reason why you're uncomfortable or you're like, I'm new, I'm this, is because you think because you've become a coach, all of a sudden you have to act like a health coach, which isn't the truth. Like I'm a hot mess all of the time. And I totally share that with people. I stumble over my words in my video. I like show Ned. I'm just like all over the place, but I feel like people respond better to it. I still get ignored, but respond better to it because they don't feel like I'm trying to like be weird about it. So hopefully this works.
Hey, what's up? Happy whatever today is. I forget. I don't know. But there's that. We're doing sheets. Sorry. I'm not gross. Let's look without sheets.
And remember, these are people that are already viewing my stuff, which is why I'm referring to like, I can be a little bit more myself. I mean, I still act this way with like newer people, but most of the time I'm building relationships with them.
I wanted to reach out to you because I saw your name pop up in my notifications. I don't know if you saw or how familiar you are with what I do, but I hold groups all the time, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. I don't know if it's something you've ever thought about. I feel like I talk to a lot of people, and they're always like, oh, I want to reach out, but I'm scared. I'm not sure how it works. Because today's the last day to join my group that starts this week, which started yesterday. And then I have a free group starting next week that's all about creating healthy habits. So let me know if you might want to be a part of the Healthy Habits group. It's free, and it's actually on Instagram, which is pretty cool. We ran a group last month that was on Instagram. It's all about meal prep, but we're running one again that is on Instagram. It's all about healthy habits, and it's based off of the book that I just read, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's amazing. But anyway, not sure if you've ever thought about it, but let me know. It's free. I'd love to have you be a part of it, or if you've ever thought about doing anything else, just let me know.
So totally just like being my normal self, like, and I sent, and it'll change a little bit. But one of the things, one of the lines I use a lot is, a lot of times people reach out to me and they say, I've been wanting to reach out to you, but I've been afraid, or I'm not sure how it works. So I'm kind of like mentioning the things they're thinking about, or fears or things like that, right off the bat. So as they're watching the video and they think, well, I don't want to do that, I don't know how it works, I'm already saying it in my invite. So that's what I do. So, and I send that kind of message to 10 to 20 people in my views or in my likes every single day. Of course, I'm not perfect. I miss them, but I try to do that every single day. And then last thing I want to share with you is obviously I have a process. I think I talked about this on Colleen's call a while ago, so I don't want to get into it because I also want to let Colleen go. My goal is to keep it under 30 minutes, and I'm right under there. So my process of inviting people is like, when I find people, build a relationship, whatever. I just showed you kind of how to find people. I simply build a contact list every single week of like the people that I'm engaging with. They can come from, people that I found through social media. Maybe it's just somebody who messaged me on social media about something else, and I want to kind of build a little bit more of a relationship with them. But I build that list, and then again, this is just me personally, I try to engage and interact with them for like 2 to 3 weeks. And I keep a list of them in my phone. So every morning after I send my invites, I do my like engagements. So I go, I copy, I paste their name, and I just comment on their Instagram story. If it's somebody brand new, like I could literally show you how I do this right now. So like let's say girl's not posting anything. So I already follow this girl, but let's say I just found her. So I want to send my first ever message to her. We've never had a conversation. I will literally just click on her Instagram story and look for something to message about. So if they post a meme or something like that, I'll be like, oh my God, that's so funny. Or like, she posted this, I could be like, this honestly looks to me like she lives somewhere in Washington, DC, just because I was just there, and it's kind of weird because that looks just like a place I was at. And I could be like, oh my God, this is super weird, but like, do you live in Washington, DC? Because I was just in a place and this literally looks like where it is. Sorry if I'm being a creep, but like, I just wanted to know. And like, that's how I message people. And then you don't have to talk like me, but that's kind of what I do. And that's how I start conversations with people. I don't ask them, are you on a health and fitness journey? Not saying it's wrong, but it's never worked for me. So I will just message people that way. I always do it off of their story. That's the way I first message people. Once I do that, then I engage with them every few, like maybe like 2 to 3 times a week for like 2 to 3 weeks. And then I send the invite. Once they've been in my like notepad section of my phone for 21 days, they get an invite from me. And it will sound similar to that video invite that I just showed you, but here's an example of a coach invite. And then once I'm done this, I am done talking. Colleen, you can go.
Hi, it's me.
Well, so this is someone who I've built a relationship with. We've been engaging back and forth. I know a little bit about them. I've tried to build like that social media friendship with them, and then I'm ready to send a coach invite to them.
I've been meaning to message you for a bit now, and I just want to let you know I love your page. I love everything you're doing. I love what you post. I love your stories. I love things that you share. And I don't know how familiar you are with what I do as a coach, but I feel like you would make such a great fit on our team. I don't just look for people who are working out and eating healthy. I mean, that's great and that's wonderful, but I'm looking for people who, one, I feel like I can hang out with on the weekends, which I feel like we could totally do that, but maybe that's creepy of me for saying that. And I look for people that like actually just want to inspire with their social media. Just sharing their journey, which you're already doing, and wanting to share that with other people, because that's what we do. Like, at the end of the day, that's what my team and I focus on, is inspiring others with our own journey and wanting to help people. Really, that's it at the end of the day. So I don't know, like I said, if you're familiar with what I do, but I'd love to talk to you more about it. If you're like not interested, don't care, that's totally fine. I just figured I'd ask.
So again, just how I invite, I'm just like FaceTiming with a friend. That's it, simple. Pretty much it. Okay, sorry, I am done talking, Colleen. Go ahead, because I should stop talking. Right.
No, I feel like I'm going to go into my topic and everyone's going to be like, bring Alexis back, because Instagram and her phone is way cooler than what Colleen's going to talk about. Okay, I want to add a couple things to that piece of what you were just talking about, and then I'll segue into like building the team, because you guys are going to do such an awesome job at inviting and getting outside your comfort zone, getting your hands dirty and all that. So there's no right or wrong way to do social media, right? But I know that there's lots of newbies on here. There's people that are like, hey, I want to gain momentum. I want to be the one fit coconut, sharing my lifestyle, being the cool girl on social media. But I feel like it's really hard to like get my photos and my message out there. And I think back to when we started Instagram, for me, it was 6 years ago. Alexis, I don't know for you, but yeah, 6 years ago too. Like no one told us you should hashtag. We didn't have stories, right? So like, I think back to how I did grow, and I feel like there's two things I'll share with you that still are working for me today, and you guys can take it with a grain of salt if you want. But there's people always asking, how do I grow my Instagram? For me, I do use hashtags because when I look at my insights on every photo, I am getting views from hashtags. But I think that there has to be, this could be a whole other call. So I just wanted to say, like, for hashtags, for me, they do help, but you have to know good ones to use. You have to do your homework on hashtags. You can't be generic. You can't be boring. If you're a boring person, like my coach Candace says, get a life. Go find some cool hobbies and get a life. You know what I mean? As you start to come to life and become the best version of you and just kind of like let it go, become yourself, hashtags can be fun. The second game changer for me on Instagram is locations. Every single one of my photos has a geotag at the top. And when I go to my insights, I have at least 30 a day. And what's funny is, I think it's a millennial thing. Like, I travel a lot and I seek to travel a lot. So I'm going on a camping trip in a couple weeks and I'm going to Mammoth Lakes. So what I do on Instagram, I don't have that cool app that Alexis has to like pull up my phone right now. But I basically just go and I search Mammoth Lakes, the location. And then I start following those people and engaging with those people and talking to those people. And they're also looking at my stuff. So I just pulled up, some of the hashtags from like Baldwin Beach this week, and I had 37 views from that location tag on that photo. So I personally think hashtags have helped me a lot personally, but I think I really mastered my hashtags and how to do that. Actually, this photo had 90 views from the location. That's a lot of views just from geotagging. So that's my side note for Instagram.
Wait, I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
I think hashtags work on your own pictures, but looking for people through hashtags is like less of the thing. But totally hashtag it, geotag it, put like all the things. Because I always say at the end of the day, if just one person found you, it takes one person to join your team to decide to be a runner. Like, that's it. So I'm not looking for, I would love 100 people to join me in one day. I'm looking for one person when I'm sending my invites. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, that's really all that matters. So go ahead.
Totally. And I kind of mix that up when you said like the hashtag thing. You're totally right. I still search on hashtags only because I just found ones that work for me. But like it took, here I am 6 years in feeling like hashtags are finally kind of paying off for me for like finding them. But I know that there's a lot of coaches that struggle with finding their brand and their lifestyle. Like Alexis is saying, maybe go more so on the explore page and then find those commenters. But if you can dig into those hashtags, like, hashtag South Lake Tahoe, where I live, like there's so many people that come visit where I am. I don't know if you guys live in like a place that people visit, but that for me is awesome. Okay, I have to segue into what I'm going to talk about. So because you guys are going to be awesome at inviting, what's so funny to me is I've never understood the fear of success. I've had to learn how to relate to that. I've had to learn how to help people not be afraid of building a team. Because I won't lie, I've cracked the code on how, I don't want to say easy, but how simple it can be. And just like Alexis said, you guys are not going to sign up 100 people tomorrow. And if you figure that out, cool, let me know. Maybe Kristina Battaglia. But I know that she's signing up a lot of people. But to be honest, guys, when you're inviting people, and let's say like 10 people join you this month, that's freaking awesome. High five. It's not your job to help them be successful. You might be like, no, wait, it is my job. It is your job to help guide them. And the best thing that my mentor, who is not in the spotlights, you probably won't even see him at Coach Summit, but he wrote a network marketing book called Build to Last. His name's Keith Callahan. The best thing he said to me when I became a diamond coach was, Colleen, all you're looking for in your Beachbody career is to really develop five-star diamonds in your downline. So when I'm working with people on my team And it doesn't matter what level you're at. I don't care who brought you on. I don't care if your coach quit. I don't care. You're your own coach, right? I'm looking for the people who have as much passion as Kristina, as Alexis, as myself, as my leaders, that are like, hey, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do this. So when you go into recruiting and inviting and putting aside this fear of leadership and building a team and having to, quote unquote, help people be successful, doesn't that put you at ease a little bit that you guys are really just focused on finding like 5 freaking badass yous? So what I will say about that, and I have a presentation for you guys, so let me flip this over real quick. I'm going to go quick too because, you know, we only got so much time, and I want to make sure Kristina gets to share something too. So this is all about building leaders, and I want you to ask yourself like what leadership is. Because I came from the corporate world, and the corporate world, leadership was ugly. Leadership was like, put your suit on, climb the ladder, and your boss is probably a jerk. You know, like that's what leadership was to me. And then I come into this business and I see leadership in a whole new way. And leadership, I was like trying to think of a different word, but let's just like keep it simple for illustrative reasons. We're going to talk about the word leadership. Leadership is all about transferring belief to others. So when you're leading your challengers, you're trying to get them to believe in themselves and to show up and do their workout and to fall in love with their products. You are so excited, I hope, about coaching and about this challenge group and about what you're doing that if you're that excited, your job is to physically, mentally, emotionally, and maybe financially transfer that belief and excitement to others. I'll be honest, I'm a self-starter. I know Kristina is, and I for sure know that Alexis is. No one sat there and held our hand the entire time and dragged us to where we're at. We were like, I love this. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it. So this whole fear and worried thing about leading a team and dragging people along, like you're working yourself up, I promise you that your job is to just find people who are like, be my BFF. Just like Alexis hopped in their inbox and was literally talking to them sitting on her bedroom floor. Like those are the people you guys are looking for. Just have some fun with this. Your goal is to help someone fall in love with Beachbody and coaching so much that they ain't going anywhere. I go into my challenge group, and every single challenger that I talk to, every single Beachbody coach that I hug at Summit, I'm like, I don't want you to go because you're awesome and I'm going to love you forever. And no one leaves when they feel loved. No one leaves when they're getting results. And when they join a team like this community here, they're not going anywhere. That's what I want you guys to focus on. Yes, I'm going to give you guys like boring leadership, tactical, what I did to get to where I'm at towards the end. But this is really the meat and potatoes. Do that and you guys will win. This is the most transformational thing that I heard this past year when I was going through it. Because I started to be like, oh my God, like I hit like this wall of success and I felt like I couldn't break through. And someone said to me, Colleen, you only have to be 2 steps ahead of someone to help them transform. So for all the new coaches, semi-new coaches, diamond coaches, it doesn't actually matter what level you're at, but more so for the newbies that are a little afraid to dive into quote unquote building a team, you only have to be 2 steps ahead of them. That's it. This is totally a do and learn business. And that's why PD is such a huge part of this, because when you're doing the growth every single day, you're putting tools in your tool belt. And then when you need them, when you have a team, because you're doing your invites, you whip out the tools and you've got it. And if you don't, guess what? It's not like Alexis calls you up or Carl calls you up and says, hey, you're failing. Like nobody knows when you guys are just showing up and doing your best. Everyone is partnered as business partners. Like no one's gonna say anything if you're learning along the way. So what does it take to succeed in this business long term? I'll be honest. Like if you want to lead a team and you want to build a team, you have to have the willingness to be new. I love when Alexis said, "Get your hands dirty." Courage, passion, consistency, unwavering commitment, tenacity, CEO mindset. There are 76 bodies on this call right now. If your energy is, you don't have to be as extroverted as Alexis, Kristina, and I. I think Kristina may be a little bit more introvert than we are. Maybe, I don't know. But I don't want to speak for all of them. But I really just feel like your passion and your commitment and your willingness to just keep showing up, that's what we're looking for to quote unquote build a team. I'm just going to keep using my little quotations here. So here's what it looks like, guys. Building a team, here's what I want you to do. And I could end the call right now. help people start and stick around. That's what I want you to do. I want you to help people, help some people. So when Alexis joins my team this week, I'm like, hey, we're going to start. You're going to fall in love with me and this, and then I'm going to help you help some people. And then we're going to get to Emerald. And because she's at Emerald, now we just have to make sure that Alexis knows how to plug and play her new coach on her left leg and on her right leg. And plug and play, guys, is like add them to the team page and show them how to get started in their first 30 days. This is kind of on the next slide, but I want to fit it in right here. I use my first 30 days with a coach as like an interview almost. It's almost like when you're going for a job interview and you're feeling someone out. I used to do that a lot as a manager at Verizon. When a new coach joins me and I plug them into my resources and I tell them what they need to be focusing on, I'm sure your team has some type of getting started right process, training, calls. I actually know for a fact your team has that. Use it. We're not asking you to do that work. We do that work for you pretty much. But your job is to plug them in, encourage them, love them, and challenge them. In those first 30 days, I feel out my new coaches. Some show up and some don't. For the ones that don't, encourage, love, and challenge them, but do not drag them. For the people showing up, guess what? That's what you guys have to do. Just keep loving and encouraging them. And because they have the resources that are available to them, if someone is going to do this business, they're going to do it. I'm not successful because of my coach. Alexis probably is not. Same for Kristina, right? If someone wants to do this business, they're going to do it. So help people start and stick around. Help people, help some people. Like, how did you hit Success Club? How did you earn $300 as a coach this month? How did you get to Emerald? And guys, done. Like, this is building a team, repeat. Now, I'm not going to lie. 6 years in, being, 5, 6, 7-star diamond, there's a lot more to it. But talk to me when you're 4, 5, 6-star diamond, and then I'll help you with that stuff. But right now, you're thinking so far off in advance that you're freaking yourself out. And it's repeat. So you have to lead yourself first daily. This is probably my biggest strength in the business as far as helping people and mentoring them, because I have a gift where I can see someone's potential when they don't see it in that kind of coach interview in the beginning. When I see someone diving into my challenge group, getting results, smiling on social media, like being authentic, sending me questions and messages, I'm like, oh, this person's doing the work. They're doing the hard work. They're getting their hands dirty. And I'm watching them become a whole new person. The coaches that maybe hit Success Club and that aren't necessarily leading themselves first, they're like kind of showing up, kind of doing the thing. They're like trying to get people to join their team, and it just feels like this stretch. I always bring it back to leading themselves first. I'm not saying that you have to be like perfect or a diamond. Ranks really don't matter in terms of quote unquote building a team, but you have to master yourself first, because then you have to teach someone else how to do it. And I'm just talking about the basics, guys. Can you show up? Can you invite? Can you do the Success Club tracker? Can you work out? Can you come in my challenge group? Can you show up on a team call? Can we do the basics? Cool. Go teach someone else. Because this job's all about becoming our best self, right? And whenever I feel like I'm struggling, that's what I go back to. Am I becoming the best version of me as my full-time job? Coolest job ever. Because one day, someone's going to ask you, Colleen, Alexis, Kristina, how did you do it? And you get to paint the first 30 days for them. Like, that first 30 days is a coach's kickoff point. Now, obviously there's no rules. Someone could have a really shitty first 30 days and decide in their first 60 days or even a year later. I see that happen all the time. Let them decide, just equip them. So back to leading yourself first. Your commitment level. It's really hard to build that team that's there with you if you're not putting in 110%, even if it's part-time, guys. This isn't about being full-time. Even if you're part-time, it still has to be a full-in commitment to part-time. So always be growing. You'll get there. Like, no one told Alexis at year 3 or Kristina when she just hit 15-star in the beginning how they were going to do that years down the road. No one told them that in the beginning. But we figured it out as we went along the way. And there's no deadline. Like, I'm nowhere near 15-star, and Kristina's been doing this way longer than me, so #goals. But there's no deadline for my goals, right? We're just going to show up and keep rocking along. Oops, wrong way. So equip your newbies. Your new coaches need to know what they need to do each day. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, wait, you didn't tell your new coach that they have to do the daily activities, well, that's definitely not building a team. So let's go back to the basics. Just keep it basic. Just equip them. Do not do the work for them, but they need to know where to spend their time. Check in with them. Hey, how's it going? They're not showing up on social media. I like to ask, is everything okay? Don't be a jerk, because you never know what someone is going through. Ask, is everything okay? How are things going, right? Building a team in terms of like creating leaders, there's been multiple times I've had to check in with my leaders and be like, hey, like what's the emotional temperature here? How are we doing? That was kind of a side note. But so if a new coach signed up today on your team, could your new coach show a new coach how to do this? And I just mean basics. So maybe your team has a little system. Maybe there's like a post at the top of your team page. Maybe there's a training website. Like I know even Beachbody has one. A new coach has to be able to show that new coach what to do. And guys, you know what we do. Don't overcomplicate it. Someone who's going to do this business is going to figure out the rest. Look for the self-starters and your five stars in your downline. You don't do the work for them. You're just a guide. I already said this. New coach processes a little interview for me. I feel them out, right? For years and years, I overcommitted myself because I fell in love with the coach's potential, and I would just pour hours and hours and hours and hours into this coach, and like they hadn't even made a post yet. Learn the hard way. Take it from me. Let them show up. Show them how to show up. That's why you have to lead yourself first, and then they're going to follow you and keep going the wrong way. So Beachbody coach versus CEO. There's lots of Beachbody coaches. There's about a top 1% of CEOs in this business. And the main difference is when you shift from fitness and supplements and transfer over into serving people in this business, you become a CEO. We all sell Shakeology. We all run challenge groups. What's the difference between the Beachbody coach and the CEO? It's about your team. So you're going to have to do that foundational stuff to like build that team. You can start doing that today. That's why we talked about invites today, right? But I'm just showing you like what it takes to build a team. It shouldn't be so scary. Eventually, when you start to bring people on and when you're helping them get started and when they fall in love with it, you're naturally just going to fall in love with these people and want to serve them all day. When I go to bed, when I wake up at 3 a.m., because whatever, like my dog wakes me up, like I'm thinking about my team. It's sick. It's crazy. I have a problem. I'm like, what does my team need? How can I help them? Guys, if you're an Emerald coach, that answer might look different for me than you, but it doesn't matter. What does your team need to hear right now? You know what they need. They need love. They need encouragement. Maybe they need tough love. How can you serve them? What can you do together? What are they missing? These are the questions I ask myself. This one is part of the PD I'm doing right now, and it's all based on team culture. From it, you win in the locker room first. It's the name of the book. It's amazing. You have to feel out the temperature of the locker room as a leader / CEO, right? Like if something's wrong, if something's off, like it's kind of our job to rally the team and bring it back together in a positive place. Beachbody coach versus CEO, like it's all about helping them see their potential. All you're doing is taking your talent of helping a challenger show up and believe in themselves, transfer that over to the coach world. Help a coach show up for themselves in their business. Help them believe in themselves a little bit more. And what you do with them, once you start learning along the way, is this is that mentality of I do, then you watch, right? I'm going to do it, you watch me. Then you do it, and I'm going to watch you. Then you do it, and we'll talk about it, right? And then I talked about being compassionate yet challenging. That's the Beachbody coach versus CEO. Like you have to kind of learn that fine balance. I always say tough love is love. You have to learn to be compassionate. You can't be a dick, excuse my French, all the time. Like there's a place for that. But then you also have to be able to like understand that we're human beings, right? Why do I keep going the wrong way? Okay, things I do to build up my team when they get on my team. And I'm like, okay, so this is the point, guys, when you have a team and you start freaking out and you come to Alexis and I and Kristina and you're like, what do I do? I'm freaking out right now. Like I signed up all these people. Recognize talent in your downline. Beyond Success Club. Success Club is awesome. Everyone needs to reach for it, but guess what? There's other people doing awesome things like losing 100 freaking pounds, showing up in my challenge group every single day, being a warrior, sharing positivity. Like just find a way to build that team culture and recognize talent. So as my team started to grow and my coach online office, you know, like that little organizational thing, like started to grow, I don't just like close my eyes and like ignore all these names. I'm like, these are people. I want to help them. So you start to see like, wow, this person has a lot of personal volume. This person has a lot of Success Club points. This person has a shit ton of team volume. Like, I need to start a conversation with them. Just start to recognize some people that are doing some cool shit. Delegate and collab. If you have a new challenger that's rocking it, you probably would start to talk to them about, hey, you want to help me lead this group? Do the same thing for coaches. There's a coach showing up and you see talent in them and you believe in them. Ask them to help you with something. Give them a little bit of like responsibility within your team page and collab with them. Notice and recognize, hop in DMs. So something I did this year after Summit was there were some people that really stood out to me that I had such a beautiful connection with at Summit that I wanted to come home and make sure that they knew that I noticed them. And I sent them messages. Did I get to everyone? No, I'm sure there's lots of awesome people that I missed, but I tried to do my best. So when you're building a team, give them a chance to shine. And the last one is personal growth on all levels. Your business is only going to grow as far as you grow. I'm going to stop sharing here. And with every like ounce of leadership or with every team member that I've worked with, it usually honestly comes down to their personal growth. It comes down to what is their biggest block right now. And my mentor, Keith, has said to me multiple times when I hit my walls in my business, what's the thing you're not willing to do? Go do that. So if you're not willing to invite, go do that. You're not willing to wake up at 5 a.m., go do that. You're not willing to give up a little bit of time with family right now? I'm sorry, go do that. You know, there's got to be things that you're willing to do for the short-term sacrifice to have that long-term gain. So I hope that this, I didn't look at any chat. I was just like going off basically. My last slide was go find long-term goal. Find find and develop. Why can't I talk? 5 stars in your downline. Okay. Kristina is on here. And so let me introduce Kristina. I'm sure there's like so much we could say. Kristina's a badass. She's one of the newer 15-star diamonds in our network. She's always inspired me. She hustles hardcore. I know her team's on here, but Kristina, how do you feel about this call? And do you want to share some things with us?
I'm so fired up after this. Like, I love when I can jump on calls, and guys, you're always learning. And I wanted to say something really funny is that you think that these calls are like easy and comfortable for leaders. It's not. It's still nerve-wracking. But I noticed a big shift in myself. I literally was flying home, but it was my responsibility to be on. So I like had my phone on. I was literally on 1% the entire time waiting to get kicked off. I came down here, kept my video off, which is my biggest pet peeve when people have their video off. Because if you think it's awkward sitting there talking to like boxes of faces that look like this the whole time you're talking, like we look for the head nodders and they feed our energy, right? With the black boxes. And that was me. But I had this shift where I was like, I'm jumping on a team call with no preparation, with no notes, no nothing. Like, and I'm leading with belief and excitement and all that fun stuff. I'm not leading with any knowledge. I'm not leading with anything like that. I don't have I literally, while we were sitting here, wrote little sticky notes so I remembered what I was going to say. And just that confidence that I've built through the business, and not through accolades, but just the fact that I know what you're all capable of doing. It's just getting you to do it. And it was a full circle moment for me for Colleen to talk about leadership, because when we first connected, I was like, my biggest goal right now is to develop leaders. Like, I don't know how to lead. I'm someone that shows you what to do and hopefully people follow along. And she was like, keep doing it. Like, keep doing that, because you can't teach someone to lead, right? I can't look at somebody and see so much potential in them and them not willing to do the work, and then me throw all this energy into them. It's sucking life out of you, right? I can still love on them. I can still throw belief on them, but I'm not going to let them take my energy. And I think we all get to that point where you see someone pop emerald and then you're like, oh my God, for the love of God, please keep that 50 pp. Please don't drop. I just need you to hold emerald. Like, please. Oh my God. Oh, you're going to take a break from working? We're in qualification. We are not taking a break from working right now, right? We get in this. So any of you who has Alexis and 6-star qual, I can say this to you without you getting all hot and sensitive over this. You ain't dropping rank. This is a platform for you to catapult off of, not to sit there and cross your fingers that your mom doesn't say, I'm sorry, you're not using my credit card this month. No, you lock and load that and you start going forward, okay? There's my, like, I can say that. They can't say it because you'll be upset about it. But I want to breed some belief into you guys. And I want you to think, and I started a call off with this the other day, and I am like, PD is hard for me to do. Like, that is the hardest thing for me to commit to. Belief and like that touchy feely stuff is just like really awkward. Like, it's a team joke on my team that I can't even bring myself to do any other heart besides the black one in an emoji, because anything else makes me uncomfortable. So this kind of stuff is like so not my vibe, but we're going to roll with it. But I want you to think of what success looks like to you. Does success, is it financial? Is it physical? Is it, is it your husband not giving you crap about being on your phone right now? Is it your kids seeing you happy? Is it you being able to go out with your friends at a pool party, which you've never been to before, right? Define what success looks like to you in this business, right? Are you willing to do what it takes to get there? If you know that that's going to be end zone, if I can sit here and say, I am guaranteeing you success, would you be scared to invite? Would you have fear? Would you be nervous? If you knew that in 2 years you would have that visualization, your life would look like what success looks like to you, would you do whatever you have to freaking do to get there if it's guaranteed? Because this business guarantees it, right? This business guarantees it. It doesn't matter if you came in 6 years ago. It doesn't matter if you came in this year. There's people that make it happen because they believe in it and they do what it has to do. My business is built off failure. If you ever saw what goes on in my business, I don't know how many diamonds I've developed, okay? And I'm going to throw my team under the bus right now, but they probably see this coming. I was gone last week on vacation. And so I said, hey, no team call on Tuesday, but would love for you guys, someone to jump on, lead a call, and someone pop on and host a power hour. One coach responded on Tuesday and said that they would lead a call, and one person commented that they would be on. That is a super diamond. Guess that could suck my energy, that could make me feel like I'm failing, that could take me down a downward slope, or that could empower me to figure out, one, how I can build up another ramp of community, and two, new blood. There's always new blood. Because guess what? I haven't found my 5-star diamonds. They could still be in my downline. They could still be there. They could be building right now, but I haven't got them. And there's still people that are just like me, because it took me 4 years of blocking other coaches who invited me, dipping them and ghosting them, just being like, hey girl, sales just really isn't my thing, but thanks so much for thinking of me. You're killing it. Congratulations. Because that was my script to anyone who invited me for 4 years. I haven't found my mini me yet. So who would I, playing off what Alexis said, who would I be too scared to invite? Because guess what? That's you being scared to invite a mini you. That's you being scared to invite somebody to change their life the way this is done for you. And to me, that's ignorant. That's not what we're here for. We're here to help anybody and everybody we possibly can. So go find your minis. Go find your people that you don't have to check in and say, hey, you haven't posted in 6 days, but you told me you wanted to be diamond in 3 days and you need to make $500 a week. Those aren't people that you check their stories and you're like, that's great that your kid took its first walk and your dog ate whatever the whipped cream cup they get at Starbucks, but did you work your business today? Those aren't people you have to check in those things and be like, oh my gosh, I just did a 2-hour getting started right call with you and you haven't even posted a coming out post. These are people that you're going to find and you're going to keep going through, and you love on your people hard. You believe in your people, but you work with the willing and you run with the runners, right? Next thing. I'm trying to see everything, and I'm almost done because I don't want to like take too much time. I think my kid's coming down and then all hell can break loose. But there's 2 different things that I say to myself every single morning. I have it written down. I made this new thing that I don't let my feet touch the floor until I gut check myself. But one, are you the coach that you would enroll with? So right now, are you the coach? Your belief. Are you getting frustrated with the no's? Are you not wanting to invite? Are you not wanting to show up on social media? Are you miserable in your head? Are you struggling with your nutrition? Are you saying every single week, I'm going to dial it in this week, I'm going to meal plan this week, I'm going to bust out those containers, I'm going to do 2B, I'm going to do this week, and we're going to cross our fingers it happens. Are you the coach that you'd enroll with because you're excited? You have this energy about you that you're like, I need that in my life. Are you that coach? And if you're not, what are you going to do to get there? How are you going to get there? And what are you going to do to get there, right? Because you need to be the coach. You cannot roll in to anyone's DMs, messenger, text with leading with, I'm struggling with. If you message your coach and you say, and they check in like what Colleen said, hey, is everything okay? and you sandblast them with how tough this is, how this business isn't hard. You mentally effing yourself that's hard, right? You telling yourself this isn't going to work, all that's hard. The business model isn't hard. Sending somebody a message, inviting them to a boot camp that's going to change their life, getting them superfood shakes that's going to give them energy, getting them confidence that's going to get them laid and get a paycheck. That's not hard, right? What's hard is us thinking that we're not good enough to deserve that. So let's flip that mentality right there and become the coach that you want to enroll with. Be the coach that you want to enroll with. And the second one is, are you the coach that you'd want on your team? Are you that coach that doesn't just show up on calls, but actually takes action steps from the calls and applies it, right? I have written down, I'm going to do 10 to 20 video messages to my boot camp tomorrow, and I'm going to do 5 to 10 coach invites and make a list for the next 21 days, taking Alexis's steps, and I'm going to apply them, because guess what? That's something that's totally uncomfortable for me. That's not what I've been doing, but guess what? Why not try and see what can happen, right? But are you that coach you enroll team? Are you hyping people up? Are you asking to do a team call? You're not waiting and be scared. You're going to put yourself out there and you're going to host a team call, right? Are you going to go live on your team page and say how you got those last 2 Success Club points? Are you going to talk about how you sold somebody energized that wanted nothing to do with the challenge pack, but how you got energized in their hands? Are you loving and liking? Are you getting carpal tunnel every time someone goes live because you're hitting that heart and thumbs up so much to show that person how much love? Because it's real freaking awkward to go live and it's Cricketville, USA, and you see that number go from like 7 to 6 to 5 to 4, and you're like, I suck at life. But you know what? If you're that person that's showing love to that person, guess what? It's going to come right back to you. So these types of things, ask yourself, are you the coach you'd enroll with? And are you the coach those 2 things will get you to level up and be the person that is going to work this business to the point that you're going to be successful. That someone's going to ask you to be on a team call. That someone's going to ask you to speak on stage someday. That someone's going to shout you out, right? All of these things is 100% possible if you do the thing. No one here is special. How many times have you like totally judged a book by its cover and seen some of the Beachbody coaches that walked up on the Millionaires Club and you're like, you're not blonde. You don't have extensions. There's no eyelash extensions there either. You're not really fit. What is happening right here, right? You don't belong on the stage, and you're judging them. Guess what? Homegirl, home guy hustled their ass off, put in the time, built an income, built a team, because they were those 2 things. They were the coach that someone would enroll with because they got a lot of people to enroll with them, and they were the coach they wanted on the downline because they showed up every single day relentlessly, consistently, and made shit happen. So those are the 2 things that I wanted to say. And last is protect your energy. Have fun with this business. This business is bomb. I could go on and on. I think everybody on here could go on and on about how this business has changed their life. But more so, we changed our lives, because it's very easy to pay $160 for a challenge pack and not show up. It's really easy to not press play. Easy to not do all of the things. It's hard to gut check ourselves, remind us that we're worth it, that selfish time is worth it, and that we can do this, and we're going to do it. So here's the other thing. I really like to recognize the people who show up to these things, stick it out till the end. And so what I challenge you guys to do, those of you that are willing to take the action steps that you heard from bomb-ass leaders in this business that are clearly doing something, right? Taking their advice and actually applying it, go on your team page now or right after you get off the call and write #now. That's it. Don't say anything, don't do anything, or have a GIF party. Make it real awkward. So everybody that isn't on this call is like, no idea what that means. Well, Susan, you didn't show the fuck up, so you don't know what that means. You won't get the content. If you're lucky, someone's going to give you the replay. But guess what? You prioritize. I literally drove home on 1%. I didn't need to be on the call. I could be like, Colleen, I'm going to show up late. Like, ooh, who am I? But guess what? It was a priority. You make it happen. I want my business to grow, and I want to learn from other leaders in the business. So go on your page. I get some people have stuff to do. We have kids. Like, I get it 100%. Like, calm down, because I know I'll get some people who are hot and bothered over this one, especially when they watch the replay and they're like, I couldn't go because my husband. I get it. Okay. But #now. And if you're watching the replay, if you're getting this, go on your team page and write #now so that your coach knows that you're leadering up, you're bossing up, and you're showing up. Because those are the people that we're keeping our eye out for and who our energy deserves to go to hype them up a little bit. Because that's what we are. We're not here to lead you. We're not here to pull you. We're here to hype you. We're here to remind you of what's possible and cheering the hell out of you when you make it happen. So whether you're watching this now or you're watching this in the replay, I don't care if this is like 9 days from now. Hashtag now on your team page so your coach can keep an eye out for you and know that you're someone that's making moves. Done.
Mic drop. Well, I just had this awesome vision of me, Alexis, and Kristina on stage at Summit one year, just dropping the mic. So let's like put that on the vision board real quick. Well, thank you to everyone who did come. Kristina, you're amazing. Alexis, thank you. I'm like kind of speechless today. I was so fired up about this call, and it actually like well over exceeded my expectations. So thank you to everyone. And I look forward to seeing all these posts that you guys are going to do. And I need someone to like tag me on Instagram from this call if you guys were here. All right. Bye guys. See ya.